this inequality here, x minus 5 over x plus 2 less than or equal to minus 1. Okay, so we had a suggestion here for the first step. Can you repeat that again?
Take x minus 5 over x plus 2 equals negative 1, and then multiply each term by x plus 2.
Okay. So you don't have to let it equal to negative 1 because this is already an inequality. So in this case, what you need to do here is really to move everything to one side of the inequality. That's what you need to do. Okay. So we have to keep the inequality as is. So in this case, if I add that, this is what you need to do. That would be your first step. You need to add 1 to both sides of the inequality, so everything goes to one side of the inequality. As a matter of fact, I've seen this problem before in the previous exams, and that's all they asked was what is the first step? What do you have to do? So please make a note of this. When you have an inequality like this, the first step is to move everything into one side of the inequality and let it be equal to less than or greater or equal to 0. That would be your first step. Okay, so now we established the first step. Can somebody tell me, just by looking at this, what do you think would be the next step?
Multiply both sides by the denominator, or the root?
No, we don't multiply. We need to combine these two, right? We need to add these. How do you add these?
You need to have the same denominator.
Right. So it looks like the LCD is x plus 2. So I can write 1 as x plus 2 over x plus 2. You're absolutely right. Now I can combine these two. At the top of the fraction, I get x minus 5 plus x plus 2 over x plus 2. I can combine what I have at the top of the fraction and actually combine the like terms. So this is what we get once we do that. So the goal here is to get those expressions to be less than or equal to 0, not 1, not any other number. By doing that, we need to, in this case, add 1 to both sides of the equation. So this would be 0. That's your first step. And then we all know how to add fractions by now, so we can just simply add these. Okay. So once I know up to this point, the next step is to look at both of these expressions at the top and bottom of the fraction. We have 2x minus 3, and we have x plus 2. We want to know for what value of x these two expressions would be equal to 0. Okay, and that should be pretty simple, right? So what we do here is we look at 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So in this case, we get 2x equal to 3. So x equal to 3/2. We do the same thing with x plus 2, and then we get x equal to negative 2. And then we locate these 2 points. These are the 0 points on the number line. 3 over 2 would be somewhere between 1 and 2. So if I locate those numbers on the number line, you see this would be 0. So 3/2 would be to the right of that, right between 1 and 2, and negative 2 would be to the left of 0. So I have this point here and this point. Now the solution would be either between these two roots or to the right and left of these roots. Usually that's how it goes. Either the solution is between these two or outside these roots. And can somebody tell me how can we check what would be the solution? You see some arrows here. What does this arrow indicate? Any idea? A point at 0 here. What do you think I meant here by pointing at 0? These are called test points. We test it. We pick a point, we pick any points we want between these two roots, and we test whether this point here would make this expression here less than or greater than 0. So we don't care about the value of this. We just care whether this point here between these two roots make these inequality positive or negative. Okay, so the easiest point to select usually is 0. So that's why I point at 0 here. If I put 0 here in this inequality, can somebody tell me what do I get, positive or negative at the top of the fraction if I put 0 here? 2 times 0 minus 3. Would it be positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, very good. So that would be negative. So at the top of the fraction, I definitely would get a negative. Okay? How about the bottom of the fraction? If I put 0 here, 0 plus 2, would that cause the bottom of the fraction become negative or positive?
Positive.
Positive. Very good. So it would be negative over positive is equal to negative. So 0 would cause this whole thing here become negative. Is that what we want? Do we want all? It says we want this expression here would be less than or equal to 0, less than 0. So that's a good solution then, right? So I can, with confidence, I can say 0 would be one solution for this inequality because it checks out. It would cause this whole thing would be less than 0, which is negative. I don't care about the value as long as negative would be good. Okay? So the solution must be between these two roots. You can actually, for fun of it, you can pick a point outside these roots, like 2. Would 2 works? Can somebody tell me if 2, what does 2 do to this top of the fraction? Would make it positive or negative? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3. Will it be positive or negative? Positive. Very good. Now, at the same time, 2 would cause, whether I have the bottom of the fraction become to positive also. So positive and positive would be positive, and that's not what we want. That's why 2 is not a solution. 2 cannot be a solution. If I pick a number to the left of negative 2, like negative 3, and do the same thing with negative 3, if I substitute negative 3 here and negative 3 here, that would cause the top and bottom of the fraction goes to negative and negative, which would still be positive. So that's why all the numbers to the left of negative 2 and all the numbers to the right of 3/2 cannot be a solution. So the solution must be only between negative 2 and 3/2. I'm going to include these endpoints because it says equal to. So this would be my solution. Can somebody remember how to write this in interval notation? Remember we talked about interval notation? Should I use the brackets or parentheses? Brackets, right? Because we are including the endpoints. Very good. Would be negative 2, comma, 3/2. Again, I'm going to use brackets here also. This would be just an interval notation that we talked about before. So this is how you solve for x for this inequality.